Um, okay, so now let's talk about the lyrics because this is where I think things start to get a little. I think they start to get just a little bit on the nose. Just to be clear, the lyrics are stupid, or is it slow? Maybe it's useless, but there's a cuter word for it. I know. Um, yeah. So let's. I think before we can really discuss these lyrics, I want to talk about the engineering of this song, right? So let's first and foremost, Jack Antonoff, who is Taylor Swift's like primary collaborator, he also produced this track along with 15 other engineers and artists. I just want y'all to think about that, right? Like there is a little army of people working on this song. This song is not just. I think that's a big misconception about music like this is that it's just this girl writing out her frustrations. It's like, no, no, no. This is absolutely like almost chemically engineered piece of music by a team of people at the record label to, to create a new lead single for one of the biggest pop stars in the industry at the moment. I mean, Sabrina Carpenter had the number one single last year with Espresso, and this is meant to be the new lead single from her album. And so this isn't like singer, poor little girl sitting in her bedroom with an acoustic guitar writing about her frustrations with men. This song is absolutely manufactured to be a hit single and to get mainstream attention. So yeah, with that said, this song, more so than almost any song that you're going to hear this year, was engineered to be successful. And I think that that's a good indicator of where we're at with the music industry and what sells, which in this case, I would say is just straight up misandry. I think that we're at a point where women in a lot of ways dominate the music industry. They are the primary consumers of pretty much everything. But if you go to top albums and artists, with the exception of Sleep Token, funnily enough, just about every other artist there is a woman or a man catering to a woman, or catering to women, like more Post Malone, Morgan Wallen, Benson Boone, like these songs about like Benson Boone's song, like, please stay, I want you, I need you, oh God. It's like, that's a girl song. Like that's a song girls sing. And so it's either like these love songs or writing about how miserable or broken they are. I mean, this is like the Zach Bryan effect of like, I'm a broken man and I need my girl. Like there is in some way, a lot of these songs are meant to cater to women. Most men are not listening to the songs on the top 40. Now, with that said, let's think about songs from a decade ago, right? From female artists a decade ago, you have songs like songs from Lorde or Kesha, Katy Perry. I really like the song Team by Lorde. I think it's called Team, where she talks about we're on each other's team. I'm kind of over being told to throw my hands up in the air. So there. These songs back then were definitely critical of men. Like songs being critical of men they've been around forever, right? But I do think that there was this element of like subtlety to them and they were still fun. And I've just noticed this thing, and it's almost like a slow boil, right? Cooking a crab, how if you just throw it in boiling water, it freaks out and panics. But if you put it in the water and then you slowly heat it up, it doesn't notice until it's already basically dead from the boiling water. I think that that's almost where we're at with some of this, with like the flat out, like in your face misandry. Putting ghetto rap aside, which like rappers will, on both the male and the female side, will talk about how the other gender is just a bunch of stupid bitches or something, right? So just putting that aside, because that's just like the obvious, rappers talk shit about women. It's like, yeah, but so do Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion and all that, right? So they'll talk about broke boys all day long. So putting that aside, imagine if someone like Benson Boone or Sleep Token or a big mainstream artist were to write an entire song about how stupid and incompetent women are. I think that there would be just this huge backlash, and it would be accused of misandry or misogyny, almost unanimously from everyone. Which is why this song is so interesting to me. I mean, she's just flat out saying like men are stupid and slow and useless, and it doesn't necessarily get better as the song goes on. Talking about how half our brains aren't there and never heard of self-care. We're sexy, but we're so dumb. How did we even survive on the earth? It's like if I, again, imagine if a man wrote stuff like this, a popular mainstream artist wrote songs like this. I don't think that it would be met with any level of acclaim or applause from most people in the music industry. I'm not trying to like unpack the whole gender war, because Lord knows, like, that is a mess right now. It is like a huge topic at the moment, but I just want to point out what's happening here. I do think this song is a bit hateful. I think that it's a little spiteful, but it kind of pretends not to be. And there are, like, to the writer and the producer's credit, there are a lot of women who will relate to this. So it's not necessarily saying like, oh my God, there's something wrong with men or women. I'm not saying that. I'm just pointing out the dynamic that this is kind of where we're at as far as the music industry goes, where you get the biggest pop star and one of the biggest pop stars in the world, or at least the one that had the biggest song in the year prior. And you say, what do we need to do to get this new song and this new single to be a hit? And you get the biggest producer in the world, and you get the record label and a team of engineers, and there's no resource spared for this song to be the hit that it needs to be. And it's just going to be about how men are idiots. And that's where we're at, right? It's an interesting thing to think about. I would almost say that it's borderline propaganda. Like, this is the type of stuff. I mean, because here's the thing, right? There are endless stories from both men and women about the torment that they've endured from each other. Like, tons of men have had horrible, horrible experiences with women, and women have had absolutely horrible experiences with men. But only one side is going to get the hit song of the summer, talking shit about the other side. And so that's where I hear something like this, and it's like this. I mean, even gender war aside, this topic as a whole to me just comes off as harmful and borderline propagandistic. So yeah, I think men should be aware of this, because I think it can be very tempting to brush songs off like this as harmless. And in fact, I think that's kind of the implication that is what I think men are supposed to take from something like this, is that, oh, it's not a big deal. Don't make it a big deal. It's fine. And I'm not saying that men should lose their minds and start rioting over music like this, but I think that there just needs to be an awareness of like, this isn't good for you. This isn't fun. Like, this isn't benefiting you. And I think a lot of guys have this idea that if they just brush it off and it's all fun and whatever, it's like, that's the better way to go about it. And maybe publicly it is, right? But internally in your mind, I think that you should be aware that this is misandry. This is mean-spirited misandry, coming from a very spiteful place, not just from like Sabrina on a personal level, but also from a music industry that is totally fine with promoting this as long as it's popular and women buy it, and women are buying it, and they will. Yeah. So for men, that's what I think. And then for women, I also think women should be aware. Like, I think women should acknowledge, like, this is harmful misandry and borderline propagandistic towards, propagandistic hate towards men. But even if you don't think it's misandry as a woman, I do think that this type of music is low IQ at the very least. It's the type of stuff that just turns your brain off. It fuels your animosity towards men. And it really kind of prevents you from engaging critically with men as a whole. Because if that's your view, right? Oh yeah, men are just these incompetent losers and it's all their mom's fault, and they're stupid and slow and useless and nothing gets done. It's like, that's really not true in a lot of ways. You might have experienced men like that in your life, and that's, I mean, most women have, but again, I think it's the type of thing where if that's going to become your view, it's not going to make your relationships with men better as a whole. I think music and art, like the music and art that you consume, is supposed to in some way teach you or stimulate you intellectually. It should make you ask questions and think about your life and think about the world. But if the art that you're consuming is just saying, oh yeah, you're great, but it's these other these manchilds who are stupid and dumb and useless, fuck my life. Like, then if that's what you consume, then mentally you don't actually need to do any work. You just can turn your brain off and shit on men. And I think that ultimately makes you a worse person. And it makes you less critical. It makes you think less critically. It shuts off your engagement. And yeah, I mean, that's what propaganda is kind of supposed to do. It's supposed to reinforce biases that you already have in the worst ways, and teach you that you don't need to think deeply or critically about anything. So yeah, I think that this is a topic we can discuss forever, really. I mean, again, the gender war is like a huge thing right now with all the, feminism versus red pill and all of that crap. But like ultimately, like the best case scenario for this song is that it's shallow. It's kind of low IQ. It is very much just men are shit, and we're just going to talk about that. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But I think the more like dismal take is that this is what is the most this is the most popular thing in the music industry right now. And this is a perspective that record labels are more than willing to put out there, and as long as it gets them the views, and it is getting them the views. And whether you can say that that's a condemnation of men because there are so many women who relate to it, or it's a condemnation of women who don't want to engage critically with men as a whole and are more than happy to just shit talk them. That's up to you, I guess. But I will say, I find it a little bit dismaying. A few weeks ago, I covered "The Wicked End" by Avenged Sevenfold, and it's a song about like the apocalypse and the end of the world. And I just think like it was a reminder to me going through that song that there's so many things that you can talk about as an artist, like, and to see that this is what we're going to go with. I don't know. There's so much that you can do with music. And I think stuff like this is so shallow and hollow of any real meaning or depth that it's just kind of, I don't know. It's a little bit dismaying, a little depressing to see that this is the most popular thing that we've got. And even worse so, because I think this song tries really hard to pretend to not be that. It tries hard to pretend like it's just this fun, like, oh, it's no big deal. But there was an ass load of thought that went behind this, and work and effort and energy for months that went into making this the single and producing the music video and all of that. And it's, as a man, it's a little dismaying. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I don't want to harp too much on like, oh, Sabrina Carpenter's a misandrist. It's like, I don't even necessarily view this as Sabrina Carpenter's song. I don't think that she's this brilliant songwriter. I know like when I hear a Taylor Swift song, I know that Taylor Swift wrote that. I don't believe that yet about Sabrina Carpenter. So this isn't necessarily about her. This is more about the industry and the record labels that put stuff like this out and are more than happy to shit on men if it's popular.